Good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Great. Um, let's start with the class, okay, guys? Let's see. Do you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Remember that we are always dividing the class into parts. The first part, we have a lesson, and the second part, we are practicing with our assignments, and we are coding, we are um, working with AWS, right? So today it's the same stuff, but today we're going to start hitting the API. I will reinforce the topic of how to create the React app, and I will get the data of the table of people in my React project today, and I will create a form so I can create new elements inside of the table. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Great, excellent. Now, um, past week, the idea is that you can learn how to create a backend. Sorry, guys, do you listen to background noise?
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay, great, great, thank you. Okay, so, um, well, the idea is that the past week, you can learn how to create a backend using Express, Postgres, and deploying that backend into an EC2. It was very important that you finish this assignment so you can learn how to hit that backend using React. So, um, if you haven't finished it, try to finish it today. It's very important for your progress and for your um, acknowledgement that you can finish that. I mean, all those assignments of the past week. I mean, uh, until today, because if not, you're not going to understand how to fetch that data using JavaScript in React. So that's my recommendation. So once I finish the lesson, please try to work your 100 or 1000% if it is necessary to finish those assignments. So let's just start with the class. Let me just take the attendance. Let me see, Tammy's here. Um, and Frey, right? Okay, great. So let's start. Um, well, well, as I told you at the beginning, we're going to learn how to hit the API using React. So we have several objectives here, and the idea is that first we're going to learn how to create a React app using Vite. Um, then we're going to commit this app into GitHub. Then we're going to define the fetch method in JavaScript. This method is the one that is going to help us to create the connection between JavaScript, I mean, between our React project and the backend. Then the last objective is that we're going to get the data from the employees table and post data to the employees tables. So first, how we can create a React app using Vite. So the first step is that you need to set up your Node.js environment. You need to have Node.js in your computer. That's the first part. And you need to have NPM too. So let me create a new project. I will recall this again, agenda. So let me enable the terminal. See, see the documents. See, I have Codex backends, right? I think, no, Codex Pathway 4. And I have the agenda front end here. So I will call this project with a different name. I will just call it agenda. So let's see. So the way to create a project using Vite is that you need to prompt this command in the terminal. npm create Vite at latest, then the project name. The name of the project will be agenda front v2. Okay, so it is requesting me to install a package. I will install it. Now, I need to select the framework. In this case, the framework is gonna be React, the third option. Then I need to select JavaScript plus SWS, the SWC. This clause that we have here is going to help us to have like a better security in our project. Now this created a new project. Let me show the content inside of the folder. Now I have this folder. So the steps that we need to continue doing is that first we need to enter to that folder. So you need to prompt the command cd or change directory and then the name of the directory. Now I'm inside of the folder, Agenda Front version 2. Now, as you see here, this is the content of the project. If you want, you can open this into VS Code using the next command, .code, . And this will open the project in Visual Studio Code. So I have it here. Does this is making sense right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, my recommendation is that now you can continue working with the terminal in VS Code. So here, the next step is that you need to install the dependencies. Great. Now this is going to take some time, maybe like 2 or 3 minutes, because it's like 100 megabytes per project or 200 megabytes per project of dependencies that we need to download. Once we have them, the next step is that you can run the project. And these guys is going to enable a counter project that React is creating for every student or for, I mean, in this case, for every developer that wants to create their first React project. So the way to run is that you need to copy this URL that it's providing to you. And you need to open this in the Chrome or any browser of your preference here. Let me see, we can use this one. Let me put it here. And as you see, I have this counter, right? And this is a default React Beat project. So this is giving us like a skeleton of how we can create our project, right? So what we're going to do is that we're going to remove some content inside of this project. So the first part is that we're going to remove the content of this app.jsx. We're going to wipe the content inside of it. We're going to remove the dependency of the CSS file that we have here. And then we're going to remove some content. Let's see. Just this. I mean, we can remove the app.css if you want. We can wipe this. And the index.css, we can leave it as a blank document from now on. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to install a library that is going to help us with our CSS, and at the same time is going to help us with the responsive part of our project. This means that if you are going to open the project in a cell phone device, it's going to shrink. And if you open this project in a huge device, or for example, a desktop computer or your laptop, is going to look as well good too. Okay, so this library is called Bootswatch. This is like Bootstrap library too, but it's going to have some themes. Okay, in this case, we have the breed theme, and this is how it looks. And the ones that I will be using today is this one, Cosmo. Okay, so how we install this library in our project? So we need to go to our index file, and here we're going to change the title first. Let's call this agenda, and here we're going to insert a CSS line. So we're going to install, let me see this way, link. Then we have the, give me a second, href. Then we have the rel, in this case, it's gonna be a style sheet. Okay, so where we're going to get this URL. So my idea of grabbing the URLs that here there's this option where you can get the URL. So you're going to open this library. We're going to pop it here, and then we can copy paste this URL and put it here. Now, this have bring to our project the library, the CSS library. Now, if you see, if I create something here, let's see, let's add an H1 right now. And let's see how this is rendering. I think I have the project. I need to open it again. Let me copy paste the URL of the project. Yep, let me open it here. So I have a hello world, as you see right now, using the Bootstrap, but in this case, the Bootswatch, sorry, the Bootswatch styling. If I remove the link, you will see that it's going to change a lot. Let me remove this. And you will see that the styling is a different styling, it's like the native HTML. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let me install this library again inside of the project. Now, this is very similar, guys, as using Tailwind, but you just need to be adding like the classes that Bootstrap has created for you. So if you want to know what are the classes available for every component, there are some examples here. So, for example, if you want to add a table this way, you can get the code, and as you see, the code is HTML, but the difference is the class. So you might need to add the class table. Let's see another, for example, here, this H1 that you have here. So how can you add this H1? Just adding the H1, as you see that this is the property necessary. Let me see if there's no class extra. But okay, for example, let's see. Let's see, for example, this alert, how we can add this to our project. And this is the code necessary that you can just copy paste and replace by the content that you want to show to the user. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Now, as you see, the importance is the class. You need to know what is the class doing inside of the HTML component. Now let's go and let's return to the app project. And here, the first part that we're going to do is that we're going to, okay, previously to start coding the project, there is this icon that I want to change because as you see, the icon of the project is here, and you might need to replace this one. You should want it to replace it. So how you can replace this is that there is another URL that I will be sharing this URL at the end in the conclusions. There are some extra links that I have here, and there is this link flat icon that you can use, and you can look for an icon, for example, an agenda or context, and this is going to give you some icons that you can download into your projects. Okay, so let's look for a user. Let's see. Let's see a user. I think I like this one. It will be like the icon of our project. You need to download as a PNG file, free download. And this is going to be inside of our downloads, okay? So if you open the folder, and let's see, where's the folder? I think I have it in the other screen. So I have it here, okay? Let's see. I can copy paste. Okay, let me show you. This is the URL. I mean, this is the image. You can copy the image, and here in the public folder, you can paste it. Control V. So I have the profile.png. So what we're going to do is that in our index, we're going to change the icon here. And as you see, it's a PNG file, and we're going to call right now the profile PNG. Let's see. Now you see the icon has changed right now here. You see it, and the title too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, you will like to do this in your projects because you won't like the previous icon in the project. I mean, this is a general icon for everyone that is an starter using Beat. So you will avoid using that icon. So, okay, let's continue now. Okay, so in the source folder is where you have the code of the project always. Okay, but previously to start coding, there are some topics that I want to talk about first. So I have created a project right now into VS Code inside of my computer. So how can I save this into GitHub? So the way to do it is that let's return to VS Code. And here there is this option that is going to help you with the connection with GitHub. So you need to click here, the initialize repository command, and then you need to put the first commit. So here I will put this first commit as the message. And then you can click here where it says commit. Then you need to publish the branch. And this part is going to request you if you are going to enable this as a public repository or a private repository. My recommendation is leave it public, okay? Okay, so here you can open this URL and this is going to open the URL of the project. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Um, okay, as you see, you have this React Beat README. You can change it if you want. For example, if you want to change this, you need to go to the README file. Maybe just like this is. Okay, let me commit this because this is a change. Edit README. So if you synchronize this, now the modification is here too. You see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's continue. Okay, now let's return with the presentation. So we have learned how to send this into GitHub. Now I'm going to explain what is the fetch method. This method is very important if you want to get data from the API. So this method is going to help you to create the HTTP request using the methods get, post, put, delete, etc. because there are several more methods. And this is going to return a promise. So as coders, guys, we need to learn how to manage these promises because every time that you are fetching data from an external server, this is going to be an asynchronous operation into JavaScript. So you need to set up that operation so you can wait it. If you don't wait that operation, maybe the behavior of the website is not going to be the ones that you want to have. So the user is going to have a frustration or a hard time using your project. So let's try to get our first request from our API. So let's try to create a table of employees right now. So I will create, in this case, 2 folders. So the first folder is going to be the component folder. And the other folder is going to be called the page folders. Page folders. So the idea is that this page folder is going to gather several small components so it can render everything inside of a HTML site, for example. But the components are going to be the autonomy part of the page. So we're going to isolate the components. For example, we can have a title component, we can have a header component, we can have a form component, we can have a table component, and so on. And those components are going to be connected using the page. So let's create the first component. In this case, going to be the page component. So um, let's create the first file. In this case, I'm going to call this the user or the sorry, the employee.jsx component. Now, it's very important to understand that if you are working with React, there is my I mean, in this case, it's not my recommendation. It's recommended globally that you might need to use something that is called Pascal case. This means that the name of the component is going to start with an uppercase letter. And if the name of the component contains two words, if you want to, you may use the name of the second word with an uppercase letter too. So for example, in this case, imagine that I'm going to create a second component. And this is going to be the table component for the employees. So these, if you want to use Pascal case table employees dot JSX. So as you see, the Pascal case here in the uppercase T and the uppercase E. In this case, because the name of the component, it's a single name, so we're just using one uppercase letter. Now, I told you guys that if you want to work with React here in VS Code, it is recommended that you can install an extension that is called React Snippets. So here we have this one, React Native Snippets, and we can use this snippet. So this is going to help us to create shortcuts with our codes. So for example, I'm going to create right now our first component, and this is going to be a functional component. So if you want to create it in an easiest way, you just need to type wrap C. And if you click this, this is returning, or it's auto completing by use for you the functional component for the employees page. So in this case, I'm just going to put this title employee, and here another component for the table of employees. In this case, this table uh, um, is going to fetch the data from the employees table, and it's going to return an HTML table, but with the content that we have in our database. Okay, so let's get the information. So if you want to get the information every time that the component is loaded for the first time in the screen, you might need to use something that is called a hook that is name it use effect. Use effect is a component. I mean, it's a hook. It's not a component. It's a hook that is going to be triggered every time that the component is shown to the user in the screen every time for the first time. So the way to set up this component, I mean, this hook is this way. Use effect, and the first parameter is going to receive how it's going to work as a function here. And the second parameter, it's an array of dependencies. Right now, we're going to give this array empty, but this is going to get the data from our table. So here, we need to know the URL that we're going to try to hit. So let's see if I don't know if you remember, but I have a server where I deploy my project, right? So I have previously this URL. Let me show it. I think I have it somewhere. Okay, so I have it here in my notes. So if you try to get the employees, let's see. Instead of having this local host, we're going to put the IP of the server. The IP of my server is 18.208.142.244. And the port is 3000. If we hit send here, oh, I have an error here. Oh, it's missing the API. It's not employees, it's employee. Let me see. Oh, sorry guys. I did. Oh, no. Sorry. I don't know. For some reason, I'm confusing this. You have the idea of, I mean, your assignments, the employees tracker, right? But my backend is the person with the telephone numbers of that person. Sorry, my mistake. In this case, is person. You see it, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, great. Sorry. So I will remove the two files that I created here. Let me remove them. Let me recreate a new file. So the first file is going to be the person.jsx, and this will be the table of person. Make sense right now? So let's see a wrap C again. And here too, wrap C. And this is creating for, it's auto completing for me the functional component. So in this case, the URL that I want to fetch is this one. So, I was using the use effect here. Okay, guys. Now, guys, can you give me 2 minutes? I have a small emergency here.
Yeah.
Okay, let me pause the recording for 5 minutes. Okay, so let's continue. So we need to fetch the information from our URL, right? So let's see. We're going to set up the use effect again. Give me a second. Okay, so okay. Now we need to understand our how the backend is working. So my recommendation is that you can save inside of a variable the base URL of the project. I mean, in this case of the backend, okay, so the base URL is until here because the endpoint of the person is going to be changing in the next fetch component. For example, if you want to fetch the phones, the thing that is going to change right now is going to be the phone endpoint. But if I want to fetch the person table, this will be the endpoint. So the base URL is always the same one. So let's keep this base URL here. And then we're going to have an endpoint. In this case, the endpoint is the person endpoint. Now, let's create a function that is going to get the information for us. So this is going to be how we call this a narrow function. So let's call this get persons. Okay. So in the get person function that we have here, we're going to apply this method that is called fetch. So what is a fetch? As I told you, this is a bail browser method that is going to help you with the HTTP request. It could be with the method post, get, put, and delete. And this is going to return a promise. So let me get the information of the person. So this will be saved inside of a result variable. And we're going to fetch. This is the fetch method. And as you see the fetch method, guys, if we learn about this method, we pass the URL and then we pass some functions. Some options. These options are going to help us to identify, for example, some headers, the body that you want to save inside of the endpoint, or maybe uh, any other parameter necessary. For example, the JSON body. We can send parameters to, several parts that we can send here in the options. So we need to pass the URL and some options. In this case, we're fetching a get method. So the get method does not require any option, just the URL that you want to fetch. So I will create here the URL that I want to fetch. In this case, it's going to be the base URL plus the endpoint. And this is going to be the one that I want to fetch right now. So if I console log the result, I will show you something. Let me show this for you. First, in the use effect, remember that I told you this use effect hook is very similar to the onload event that we have on HTML. So every time that the component is shown in the browser for the user, it's going to trigger this function. So let me call the get person function here. Right now, in the HTML, nothing is going to be returned, but in this person component, we're going to import the, let's see, table person, and here we're going to render the table person right now. Okay, now in the app file that we have here, we're going to import the person component. And we're going to render our hello world and the person component. Okay, now let's try to open this in the browser. If I enable, in this case, the browser tools, well, the developer tools, and if I go to the console, let's see. Okay, invalid COULD call. Give me a second. I need to increase the. So it says that invalid COULD call. It says that I have an invalid call here. I think that this is because of the fetch operation. Give me a second. I think this is the problem. Let's see. Invalid call. Table person 916. So the problem is here. Why this is not working? Oh, this should work, guys. Get persons. Give me a second. Why this? You might have missing versions of React. Let me see, guys. This is not
I have a
working.
question.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah.
Does it not have to be inside of the get persons function in order to get the persons out of it?
This function.
Yeah, no, like the use effect.
The use
Like,
effect.
yeah.
No, the use effect needs to be set up outside, and this use effect is going to call other functions. Let me see.
Okay, that's why you're using the arrow function there too?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But for some reason it's not working. Let me see. Let me put another function here. Give me a second. Give me a second. Because this worked in the last week. Let's see. Hmm. Hmm. Seems that it's not working. No. Let's see. Invalid hook call can only be called inside of the body of a function component. Yeah, I see the problem, guys. Sorry. I was creating these functions outside of the body of the component of the function. So let me show the problem was that as you see, the body of the table person is here. So the function or the use effect needs to be here. And this is my mistake. And the get person should be inside too of the functional component. Let me format this. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so now I want you to notice something. It was my mistake. Sorry about it. Okay, but as you see, I am console logging right now the fetch operation. Okay, so as you see, I'm fetching. Let me console log the URL so you can see the URL. Let me show you. Let me refresh this. The URL that I'm trying to hit is this one, and this is my response. So as you see, the response, guys, have several parts here. It's an entire object, but the body, guys, is I know, sorry, it's not the body. What I need, is the data that I am receiving from the database. So where do I open that data? As you see, the response, I do not have the content of my database, and this is because the response it's a promise. So if I want to get the information of that promise, we need to do something else. We are going to create a function, I mean a variable that is going to be called data. And here you're going to do again another await operation. And this result is going to be converted into JSON. So if I console log the data now, as you see, the data contains the array of persons that I have on my table. You see it?
Yes.
Okay, now the challenge here is that we're going to create a table that is going to render this information. So how can we do this? First, we're going to use another hook that is called the use effect. This use effect hook is going to help you to create binding with the data that you have in your JavaScript into the front end part of the HTML. So let's call this use effect. I mean the use state hook here. And we're going to create here what we call a hook. And let's create, in this case, a variable that is going to contain that information, this data information that I want to save somewhere. So let's call this persons or data person or data people. I think it's better here. Then we need to set up the function that is going to help us to modify the content of these data people. So this is going to be called set data. And this will be equal to use state. Now, this use state initialization right now is receiving anything as a parameter. So it's going to be, these variables are going to be null. So my recommendation is that we're going to set up that this variable is going to be an array because we need to iterate these arrays some if we want to render it here. So let's see. Now, instead of console logging the data here, we're going to save the data this way. Instead of console log, the data is going to be saved inside of this array, data people. Now, in our HTML part, in our JSX, we're going to return a fragment right now. And here we can add an H1 as the title of the report, for example. KP. Okay. And we're going to create a table. So if you want to create a table, guys, using JSX, we need to add the HTML tag table. And we need to close it. Now, the table contains two parts, contains the T header and the T body. So we're going to set up the T head. These parts, we can put the titles of the columns here, and then the T body is going to be the content. Okay, so in the T head, we're going to create a row for the first line. And inside of this first row, we're going to create our headers. So here we need to select how many headers we want to render to the users. So in this case, let's recall the properties. We have the person ID, we have the name, the gender, and the birth date, right? So we're going to render, in this case right now, just let's see, name. Oh, sorry. And we're going to render the birth date. Okay, now let's see how this is looking like. Okay, this is the table. Now we're going to add the class table here. Okay, so we have a small table right now. Now let's add some content inside of this table. So what we're going to do is that dynamically, we're going to add the content here. So we need to open our curly brackets inside of our HTML so we can add JavaScript code here. So what we're going to do is that we're going to iterate this array of data. I mean, this one, data people. So the way to iterate right now is that we're going to use the map method. Dot map. So this iteration is going to request how it's going to work. So we're going to pass an arrow function here. And the item that we're iterating. So let's see. Now we're going to iterate for every element that we have here. Let's see, a TR. And inside of the TR, we're going to set up the TD element that is going to represent the name. And how can I access to the name? So you need to open again the curly brackets so you can create a JavaScript code inside of it. And we need to call the object item and the property that we have in our database. In this case is the name that property. So we need to do this for every column that we want to render. So we have the name, the gender, and the birth date, right? So as you see, I'm rendering the information here. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let me refresh this. Now, as you see, there is a problem here. It says that I need to add a unique key for every element that is inside of the table. So how can we add a unique element for the TR? So we have this property that is the key, and we're going to set up that the key is equivalent to the item dot person ID. Remember, this is an auto increment number, so it's not going to repeat any number here. So let me refresh this. Now the message that I previously have is not existing anymore. You see it?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. Now, guys, um, let me remove this hello world message that I have here. So right now I have the table of persons. Now I will create a form that is going to help us to add people inside of the database. Okay, so let's see. Let's create another component. Let's call this form person JSX. Now we're going to have the wrap scene here. Now let's add a title here, but let's add first the fragments, and we're going to add a title. We're going to call this person form. So here, if you want to set up an HTML form, you need to do um, this form. We need to close it, and then we need to add the HTML tags necessary for a form. Let me go to Bootswatch. And for example, in this case, we want some some inputs, right? Let me show an input here. If, for example, this is the email address, we can copy paste this one. Let's see. Let me see. I think we can do this. Yeah. Okay, let me format this. Now this is requesting an ending tag. Okay, and let me remove this class too. Let me remove the ID, that value too. And this is not an email. This is going to be the name. We can remove this. Not a problem here. Name. Oh. So let's see how this is rendering in our project. Now, this is not part of the project here because I'm not rendering this form right now. So how can I render this? So let's go to the person and we're going to import the form person component, and we're going to return the form person component. Oh, but I need to add a fragment here. Let me format this. Okay, let's see. So right now I'm just having this, I have an input here. Um, so we need to continue adding more inputs inside of the form. Okay, so let's continue adding more inputs. Let's see another input. In this case, it's gonna be the gender. Now we have the gender here. Now let me see if we can close this. For some reason, I don't like something here. Let me see. Uh, mm -mm. Okay, let me go to Bootstrap. Let me look for an input. Okay, if you want to create an input here, I think it's better if we grab this from Bootstrap. Let's see. Let's see. Let's look for a form controllers. Okay, I'm gonna copy paste this one. I think it's gonna look better this one, guys. Let me format this again. You remove this. Let me add the closing tag. The type's gonna be a text because we want to save the name here. We don't require the for. The IDs, remove it. Now let's see how this is getting rendered. Okay, I think it's better this way. I mean, but it's too huge. I'm gonna fix this with some CSS. Give me a second. But now it looks better. So let's continue. Now we're going to add another input. In this case, we're going to request the gender. Now, it's very important that we need to understand that we set up in our database that the gender is going to receive only two letters, the M and the F. So maybe a text is going to be not a good idea because this is open. You can input any letter here. So how can you um, how can you be more specific with the user that we're going to request only two letters? For these kind of um, situations, my recommendation is that you can use something that is called the selector. So we can put some options here. And the only two options that are going to be enabled are going to be the M and the F. So let me see. Let me remove the first option. Or, well, this is just a message. But remember, this is an M. Because this is the information that is going to be saved in the database. What you have in the values. Now let's remove the third option. Let's see how this is rendering. So yeah, and let's add right now. I think I'm gonna use div2 again, so we can wrap the entire component. Let me format this. Let me add a label. And this is gonna be the gender. Let's see how this is looking like. Okay, looks better, right? Now, let's see. And now we are going to create another div that is going to represent the date of birth, right? Okay, so you see, I have an input text, I have a selector for the gender, and then a date picker so we can select the date. Does this make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Now, great. Now, we are going to add a button right now, and this button is going to help us to trigger the functionality of saving this information inside of the database. So, okay, so we're going to add a button. Let's see. And we're going to add the class name btn primary. So it's going to look like this, okay? Um, let's see. We can. Let's see how this is rendering in a cell phone. I'm going to put it something here. Let me show you. Let's see. I'm going to add here. Main. And we're going to add a class that is called container. So this is going to help us with some padding or some I think yeah, this is a margin, right? From to the left and to the right, so we can let's see, we can add more margin here. Margin 5. No, let's see, margin X 5. Too much. Give me a second. Let me see with 2. Hmm. Margin left, margin right. So a little bit more centered here. And we're going to add a margin to the bottom. Or let's see. Okay. Let's see. We can add some separation between the form and the table. Does this make sense?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay, great, great. Now, let's see, let's see. So if you open this in the huge screen, it's going to look like this. And if you open this in a small device, it's going to look like this is so with this capacity that we have here is the responsive capacity that we have with the framework that we are using for the CSS of our project. This is Bootstrap, okay? Let's continue. There is a problem with the class names in our selectors. So yeah, it's not class, it's class name. So let me replace every class by class name. Now there is a default value for the, okay, this, I think this is having a problem. Okay, great, great. Okay, so I think everything so far has been doing well. So we're going to have a recess of 10 minutes so we can grab some water, or if you want to take some some food for your dinner right now, it won't be a problem. So see you in 10 minutes, and when we return, we will continue with the yeah, the agenda project, and we're going to finish in posting this information into the database. Okay, so see you in 10 minutes. So guys, I was recording the timer, sorry. Okay, let's continue with the class. Are you there?
Yeah.
Everyone? Yeah, okay. Well, remember, now we're missing to post this information into the database. So let's create a form component for this person form. And, oh, well, we have it, but we are missing the part of the functionality. So how can we manage the functionality of grabbing this information from the form and send it to the database? So um, always when you are managing forms, there is an event that is called onSubmit. Do you remember what this event is doing? Do you remember, guys? We learned this in the pathway 1 and 2, I think so. Do you
It
remember
stopped
how
the
to manage
page from
forms?
loading.
It's what? It stopped the page from loading.
Stop.
Mm,
Yeah.
I mean, the onSubmit event, it's an event that is triggered once you click a button inside of the form. And this is going to,
Oh,
yeah, it's going to uh, give you the capacity to grab the information inside of the form. So we need to set up a function that is going to be invoked once we click the button. So let's create the function here. And we're going to call this submit handler. So this is going to be an arrow function too. I like them. Okay, and this function, if you run this, my recommendation, and every person that works with React and Forms is going to tell you that you're going to receive a parameter that is called the event. And this event, the normal behavior of a submit event when you are clicking a button inside of a form, you will see it. Right now, I'm just gonna call the function here, but let me show you what's going to happen. If I refresh the website right now, but if I click here where it says save data, this is going to reload the website. You see it? I don't know if you noticed this, but I'm gonna do it again. If I hit send, do you see that the table was reloaded?
Yeah.
So this is like the normal behavior of a submit event. It's going to grab the information of that what you have inside of the form, and it's going to pass that information via the URL because it's supposed to get data or post data using ancient ways of PHP, of how you send information from one page to another page. But right now we're using JavaScript to handle that data. So if you want to avoid to refresh the website, this event that we are receiving as a parameter, we need to call the property that is called event prevent default. So we are going to avoid refreshing the website, okay? Event prevent default. So this is going to stop on refreshing the website. Let me show it. And then, okay, if I hit save data, now the website is not getting reloaded, okay? And this is because the event prevent default that I set up here is avoiding that we're going to refresh the website and we're not going to lose the data inside of the form. If I console log here, just a message, you will see it. Form sub. Okay, let's see. You see? So we have it. So let me remove the console log. But what we're going to do now is that we need to grab the information inside of the form. So it's very important to understand that that information is inside of this event too. So let me show something to you guys. Let me console log the event. Let me put here some data. Okay, so as you see, I am console logging the event that I'm receiving as a parameter. So as you see, the target is the form. You see it? You see this, guys?
Yeah.
Now, you need to understand that we have an input, the first input, and we have some content, and the value of that content, you see it, is Fernando. Now, let's go to the second input. As you see, it's a selector, and we have three options inside of this selector, right? You see it? And it's the content that we have set up as the HTML part. Now, the third input here, it contains a value, right? And it's a date. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So how can we grab this information? Oh, and we have the last part of the form is that we have a button. Okay. And this is the one that is triggering the event. So how can we grab that information from every input that that I have inside of the form? Because very important to have it. So um, there is one way to do it, and this is a very simple way. So for every time that you are typing information inside of the input, you can do something. This is gonna be a function that's gonna be called handler name. In this case, is the name input that we're going to be handling. Okay, so this is gonna be what we're going to do is that this input we're going to set up that every time that we are changing something inside of the input, we're going to call this function handle name. And again, every time that an event is triggered, the function is going to receive the event as a parameter. So if you console log this event, you will see that here, you're going to grab the information of that input. Let me show it to you. So let me change some data here. Okay, so I am typing inside of the input, and as you see, I am console logging the event. The event is going to have a target, and the target is the input, and this is the input of the target, the letter F goes right now. You see it, guys? Guys, are you there?
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
I had to go check the error.
Okay, great. Now what I'm going to do is that instead of console logging the event, I'm going to grab from the event the target. And you will see that the target in this case is the input, okay? Let me show it again for you. So as you see, it's the input. I'm console logging the input. Now, I want to grab the value of that input. So target dot value. Let me show you. Let me refresh this. So every time that I'm typing something, I am grabbing that information from the input. I am managing that information by just console logging that text that I'm trying to type there. Does this make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to create a handler for every input. Okay, so, but where do we need to save this information? So another recommendation that I will give you is that we can use another hook that is called the use effect. Oh, sorry, we're going to import it here. The use state, sorry. And this is going to help us to bind the information that I have. I mean, the information that you are bringing from the form to the JavaScript, okay? So here, you will create a use hook element. And this is gonna be an object. In this case, we're going to call this new person. And then we need to have a function or a method to manage the changing part of this object. And this will be initialized as the user state. And we're going to create an initial object here. So we're going to create a person right now. Remember, we have the property name. In this case, we're going to leave an empty blank space here. Then we're going to add the birth date. Again, it's going to be an empty string here. And the last one is the gender. And this is an initial value for a person. And this information is going to be updated here too, okay? So what we are going to do is that we know that this information, this event is going to be triggered every time you are changing this input, right? So we're going to modify the name. So how can we do this? We're going to get, okay, let's see. Person dot, let's see if this is possible. Let me see. It's gonna be equal to event dot target. I think this is not gonna work. Let me see. But let me try first. Okay, let me see. I think it's working. Okay, let me see. Okay, so as you see, okay, I am console logging the person object every time that I'm modifying the content inside of this name. You see it, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, so now we need to create a handler for every input that I have here. So I have the handler name. Then we're going to add the handler birth date. In this case, we're going to update the birth date. And then we're going to set up that this input, this one, every time it's going to change, it's going to modify that object. And the last one is going to be for the gender. Handler okay. Okay, let's try this. Let's try it. Okay, let me refresh the entire form. So let me see. So this is my name, and as you see, this is the object. Now the birth date. Let me see. Now that I change it, it has changed in the console log. Now let me change the gender. I didn't set up the unchange here. Give me a second. Handler. Okay, let me try it again. And here we go. We have the content of the entire form inside of the object. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Great, great. Now, we need to send this information to the database, okay? So how can we do this? Okay, I will remove the console logs here. I mean, this is one way to handle a form. I'm not saying this is the only way, but I find that this is one of the easiest way to handle a form. And as you are beginners, it will be a good beginning. Okay, so okay, now when you hit the submit button that is here, we're going to fetch again the API as a result. And this is gonna be an asynchronous operation too. And we're going to fetch again the URL. So Let me grab the URL that I have here in the table form because it's the same. We have the base URL and the endpoint. And let's see. Okay, so I'm going, maybe I can copy this function, but I'm going to modify it. And we'll call this function submit handler again. So I have the base URL plus the endpoint. I'm gonna fetch the data, but now this is a different fetch operation. Instead of just passing the URL, I need to set up the options of the URL that I'm going to fetch. So this is going to receive an object, and the first part of the object is going to be the method. In this case, will be the method post in uppercase, the entire word, and then we need to send the body, and the body in this case is gonna be the new person that we have here, but this needs to be stringified as a JSON. I think is JSON, and we need to pass the new person here as a JSON object. And the last parameter is that we need to add the headers, and in the headers we need to set up the I think it's the content. Content type, JSON application. Okay, so it's very important to understand that we need the URL, or in this case is the API, and then the information that we're going to send there. Once we do this, guys, let me see. We can refresh the website. Maybe that could be a good idea. Because if we don't refresh the website, we cannot see this modification in the table. But first, let's try to just post the information. And we're going to console log. We're going to grab the data. Await. Let's see. It's result.json. And let me console log the data. Just right now, I'm just gonna console log. Maybe there is a message that everything has been successful. Okay, but let's try to do it here. Let's see. Let me send this data. I'm gonna create a new person. In this case, could be Adam Sandler. He's a male. I'm gonna put that this is his birthday. Oh, sorry, I didn't add the onSubmit event. I need to add the event to here. Okay, let's try to do it again. Sorry, I forgot this part. Okay. Let me hit save. Oh, it says that I have a problem here. It's not a valid JSON. Let me see. I think I have a problem here. I think it's JSON.stringify. I think this is the way. And here it's application JSON. Sorry. Let's try to do it again. Okay, and as you see, the message that I'm receiving from the API is object created. You see it?
Yep.
Now,
Yes.
if I
Mhm.
refresh the website, you will see that now Adam Sandler is part of the table of people. You see it?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so let me show you something very important here. How can we refresh every time that we save data? How can we see that modification in the table of people. So there are two ways. The easiest way is this one. Once you console log this message, you can refresh the website. And the way to do it is that we can do the window dot location dot reload. And this is going to reload the website. Let me show it to you. Let me see. Another person. You see another famous person, guys? Steve Van Curry. No, I see another one. Ana de Armas. I'm just going to invent her birthday. So as you see, I refresh the website by just clicking, by just adding this line of code. This is reloading the entire website. Okay?
Okay.
And there is the
Yep.
second option. If you want to avoid reloading the website, but you want to refresh this, what we can do is that we can add something that we call this props, but it's gonna be a very difficult modification. It's not impossible, but because you are beginners, guys, I don't want to give you a headache with doing that operation. Okay, we can add a prop that is going to be a binding prop between the person and the table of persons. Then maybe tomorrow it will be a better idea that I can show you how to do that operation. But right now, I'm just gonna finish this coding challenge right now. I'm gonna commit the message. I'm gonna commit the code. Person get and post. Okay, so because remember that for today, guys, our objective is that we're going to do the get and the post for the table of person. Okay, so why do I want to put only two methods? Because I don't want to give you too much content today. Tomorrow we are going to do the update and the deletion method. So guys, as a as a conclusion, guys, let me explain you that fetch is a native method for JavaScript to request APIs. All fetch operations are going to return a promise. So we need to use the async and the await operation so we can handle that promise in our JavaScript code. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna share the the front end repository right now. Give me a second. And if you want, you can use this repository for the next assignments of this week, because I'm gonna request that you can do the front end of your employee tracker task. So let me see, where is the repository? So it is here. I'm gonna put this URL in the presentation. Where is the presentation, guys? Sorry. Okay. Okay. So the presentation, this is the Git repository. If this is going to be your example, so you can start fetching the data of your API. Remember, guys, I will enable some assignments this week. Today, I'm not enabling any assignment for today, but for example, if you finish every assignment from the last week, what you can do today is that you can start working in your front end. And this is a good example of how to fetch the data. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna drop this URL too in the chat.
Do you want a separate repository for the front end?
Yeah, in this case, yes, because the front end is super different, the way we manage the front end than
Right.
the way that we manage the backend. The backend
Okay.
is using the framework that is called Express, and the front end is using the framework that is called React. So they are different technologies there. That's why we need to separate them. Yeah. Great. Well, guys, so this is all for today for the lesson. Today, what you can do is that you can finish your assignments. If you haven't finished the first, I mean, the 3 assignments from the past week, it's very important that you need to try to finish them today. So you can start working in the front end of your project. If you finish all the assignments, you can start working in the front end of the task tracker project. Okay, so let me know if you need any support, guys. I will be here. I will be glad to help you.
Her assignment. So like
Go ahead.
for the submission,
Mhm.
how many links were we supposed to submit to you?
Okay, submit the GitHub link and the
Right.
link
I did
of
that one.
your API. For example, in this case, should be the IP of the server / person. I don't know. For example, that link that is going to help me to test if you are getting data. I mean, if I can get data, post data, or delete data. Does this make sense? I mean, the URL of the server.
So not the EC2 instance.
Yeah, it's the same one. So
Oh,
let me
okay,
show.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. Let me show in my code, for example. When I'm trying to grab the people, I mean the person URL, this is the base URL and this is the endpoint. So you might need to pass me the employee's URL and the task URL.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I turned in the GitHub one, but I wasn't 100% what what the other thing was, because I'm
No,
like,
yeah,
I know that you have
super important that
access
URL. If
to
not,
it.
I won't be able to test your backend.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, okay.